You put in the grunt work and then it pays off.
Hello, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the Creative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today. In this show, we explore how to live your exciting, creative, and most fulfilling life. Hello, and welcome to the show. This is Isolde Trachtenberg. I am thrilled you are here at the Creative Mindset Podcast. I'm sounding a little bit up in the air right now because we just did our student show for the stand-up comedy class taught by Chris Griggs, and I am here and I'm going to be giving you little tiny interviews from the class all about their process, what happened, how they feel about the show that we just did. It's super exciting, and it's a lot of fun to just even try, but the fact that we all killed is a super bonus. So I would like to introduce the first guest on this episode. This is Annabelle Niece. And Annabelle, interestingly, you were thinking of not coming and doing a show tonight. I'd love to hear from you what happened and what changed your mind.
I felt like I did not put in the work that everyone else put in, and that if I showed up just winging it, that people would, that it would sort of bring the vibe down. You know, I guess it's a guilt, I guess, of being a slacker as a kid. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do it again as an adult. But everyone was so nice, and then it turned into sort of weird affirmation session that made me really uncomfortable. So I sort of broke down and agreed to come.
So what's interesting to me about what you just said is that you felt uncomfortable, but you did it anyway. And for the rest of us watching you tonight, you went on and you killed. You were hilarious, and so. If you were going to talk a little bit about what would be next for you as far as stand-up comedy, what do you think you'd like to do?
For me, it's just fun. It's just for fun. Building a friend group. I like hanging out with comedians. I like people paying attention to me. You know, I used to want to be a preacher, so I think this is now that I'm not religious, this is my stand-in for it. So making people listen to me is basically my goal right now. I don't really want to be a professional comedian or anything. It's just fun.
And I think that's all there is for a lot of us, is that it actually, despite what we thought might happen, that it was really fun. So I want to thank you for being on the podcast, and it was such a pleasure getting to know you. And what I'm hoping will happen is that we will all continue to work together and keep developing not only our stand-up comedy or our communication skills, if you will, but also the friendships we've developed. So thank you so much, Annabelle.
No, thank you. The best part of the class was making the friends. That's mostly why I did it. So I hope we stay in touch.
Okay, so you can't see this, but we're hugging. Thanks, Annabelle.
It's not gonna work. We're not gonna be compatible. It would be just like with my last boyfriend. You know, we weren't compatible. I was spontaneous, and I like, fun things like comedy, and he liked things like fucking a waitress named Sheila. That didn't work out. I think the reason that I didn't go to class was because I thought it was stupid. Do you remember, these guys might, do you remember Stop, Drop, and Roll? Yeah. That was beaten into my brain. I'm 30 years old, and I have never been engulfed in flames. But also, I haven't done taxes for 10 years. So no one ever told me how to do it.
And right now, I am happy to welcome Anthony Renda back to the Creative Mindset Podcast. This is one of those moments where I heard that you said that you were going to do a completely different set, and you mostly did. You sort of went on and went, I'm going to do something totally different. And I heard stuff from you, hilarious stuff, that you had not done in class at all. What made you change up the jokes so much between yesterday and today?
Very good question. The reason why I changed it up a little bit, because on our last class, which was yesterday, I was timed at 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So I'm saying we're allowed to have 3 minutes and 30 seconds where we have to get off stage. So I said to myself, you know what, let me add little bits. Let me add some more words. Let me try to add some more sentences, maybe some more expressions. So I wanted to make something in reference to the crowd. Thank you for coming here. You guys look so great. All you guys look like you're all in your Sunday outfit, except for that back section. That's my family there, looking all depressed and sad. It's empty. There's no seats. So I wanted to be more humorous, more spontaneous. And one thing I learned, from classmates and from previous classes, is that whenever you do a comedy set, try to make some adjustments and changes, maybe like add a little bit more. So I wanted to add more spice and flavor.
And you certainly did that. It was so much fun watching you. So let me ask you a question. You are by far the most experienced stand-up comic in our class. Where can we see you next? What's next for you with stand-up comedy?
Oh my God, that's pretty bad. I'm experienced, but I'm doing 20 months. 1 or 2 mics, which I started out. Now I'm doing like 3. Next, after these classes, which Chris Griggs is over, I finished level 3. I'm finishing Improv 4 in a couple of weeks. Once these series of classes over, I'm going to go to at least 5 open mics and do showcases once a month or every 2 weeks, which is going to be hard and difficult to get your name on these big showcases at Greenwich Village, Caroline's, hopefully soon. So bigger venues in the future.
I'm looking forward to getting to see you more and also to perhaps share stages with you in the future. Thanks so much, Anthony, for joining me on the show. And one of the things that's happening, you may have already noticed if you're listening, is that little bits of what everyone did last night is going to be interspersed with the interviews. So if you want to hear a little bit of Anthony's set, you're going to be able to do that. Just hang on and you'll hear it right now.
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Have a little conversation amongst yourselves. Feel free. Such a good-looking crowd. Everyone's wearing their best outfit, except that back section. Oh, that's my family. Seats, empty seats. Don't worry, you neglected me today for the last 35 years. I'm just an espresso and oxygen. Because I'm from the South, Sicily, We don't like the cappuccino. Okay, so what should I call my ADHD? I just forgot my whole set. So let's all meditate together. Okay, back to...
And I'm back. Right now, I have the most amazing Brittany Raper back on the show. And she just told me, actually, just a little while ago, that her grandmother is listening to the show. Hi, Brittany's grandma. I'm so excited that you like the show and that you've enjoyed listening to Brittany talk about her process of being and sort of starting her own stand-up comedy group with Women Stand Up. So I'm super excited. And Brittany, I think that you're hilarious. So first, let's just get that out of the way, right? So I think you're hilarious, and you're so incredibly consistent. That's one of the things I've noticed about you. Every week, you're just consistently funny. What goes into you deciding that? And also, how do you feel about tonight's show?
Okay, being consistent is an illusion because in the background, when you don't see me, I am pitching jokes to my roommate while she's in the bathroom, and I am editing in my bed at 1 a.m. And I think it's you put in the grunt work and then it pays off somewhere, somehow. So I guess that's the only thing that I'm consistent with. I'm consistent with editing, I think, which helps. And also, like, coming from an acting background, it's like a script for me, keep working on it, but I kind of know the script in a way. And for the show, I think it went really well. It was really fun to have everyone together and to have other people laughing at the jokes that we've been laughing at for however many weeks now. It was really fun to see everyone's friends and family come out to support them. And, we've created our own kind of little family, so it was, I think it's nice to have everyone together, everyone supporting each other, and, what could be better? I think it was successful.
It's true. I really do feel like tonight was a super success. And also, what I find interesting about this is that now I feel like we have developed a core group that's going to not only support each other, but also be there on a number of different levels to really help each other grow. And as some of us, like Annabelle said, she doesn't really want to be a stand-up comedian. She was doing it for fun. And yet the friends she's made here have really impacted and affected her. So she's excited about that part of it. But what I'm hoping, for example, is that we'll get her up on stage again because she's so funny. So with you, what's next for you? Because again, I think you're hilarious as well as wonderful. What's next for you with stand-up comedy? Is there a women's stand-up performance coming up soon? And also, what about you as a solo performer? What are you going to be doing with stand-up comedy? Where do you want to go next?
Yeah, Women's Stand-Up's next show is at the Pit in the Stryker Theater, December 12th at 8 p.m. And we have a pro headliner. Jay McBride is hosting for us. And we have it's an alumni show, so it's going to be like a big celebration of women and doing stand-up. And as for me, I agree. I think this class has been like so special because it's not always that way that you actually connect with people who also connect with you and want to work together. I think we actually found something really special here. And I mean, I hope to keep building that community. That's what I love doing about women's stand-up, and that's what I'd love to do with all of you guys, too, is keep building that community, keep creating that support system, because stand-up is such a cool thing and such an empowering thing and such a special thing that we get to share with each other. And now that we've had this experience together, I just hope that it keeps growing beyond that. And even like Annabelle said, like even if it's not comedy related, even if it's just the friendships, the relationships, that's so special,
Well, absolutely. And you all have enriched my life, especially since I just moved here a couple of months ago. And now I feel like I've got ready-made friends who I can go out and laugh with, laugh with and laugh at, maybe. I know that sounds a little strange, but if I'm going to see you perform, I'm going to fully expect to be laughing my patootie off because you are so freaking hilarious. So thank you so much, Brittany. I don't know if you hold the record for being on the show the most, but I'm super grateful that you have been willing to share your process and your experience and also just your comedy. You're so funny. Outside of being a really wonderful person, I'm waiting to see your Netflix special. I think that's really what's going to happen. So thank you so much, Brittany, for being on the show. And again, you're going to hear just a little bit of Brittany's set, so you can hear just to get a tease of how funny she really is right after this.
So my name is Brittany Raper, and my last name is spelled R-A-P-E-R. I know. The worst way you could spell it. My mom's really cute, though. Whenever she tries to explain how to spell it, she says, "Oh, it's like paper, but with an R." I always thought that was really polite. I usually just say, "Oh, it's like sexual assault, but with an R." But I have a boyfriend, which is very, very nice. But his last name is Friend. Some people see where this is going. We are the only people who can never hyphenate our last names. Like, can you imagine our kids? Like little Sarah Friend Raper?
Okay, welcome back. And I am here with tonight's show closer. Renda Roldan is here, and I'm going to ask you to tell us your whole name. That would be so cool. But also, I do want to talk to you about what it felt like to be the closer. Was that nerve-wracking, or were you like, I'm going to kick butt? Because you did kick butt. I mean, really, it was so much fun. And your closing moment, I'm so glad I have video of that because that was hilarious. So talk to me, if you would. What was it like closing the show, and especially after these 6 weeks of really starting from the very beginning and winding up with a performance that I think was stellar?
Thanks, Isolda. First of all, my full name is Miranda Veracruz de la Hoya Cardinal Rodan. But we had to shorten it to Miranda Rodan, And, to be the closer, I wasn't really excited about that. And I've never really closed a show in my life. And for me, this was pretty nerve-wracking. But I was also really excited. And I just wanted to get to this moment right now where we have completed the show. Everyone kicked ass on the show and feeling really good. I think I was anticipating, being at the end. And so that kind of like once you're on stage, it's a whole nother ballgame, as you know. And you're going completely off of memory. And I don't know if this happened to you, but I was editing down to like the last like sentences even this morning. So I'm usually much more prepared than I was today, but I feel like overall it did go well. I mean, you had a couple hang-ups. Like I had a moment where I just completely like blacked out and was like, you know what, I'm going to just keep it real and just get my fucking paper, and then everything was fine after that. So sometimes you just have to recognize that this is a first-time class and like take the pressure off of it a little bit. Which I think once I got my paper, I was like, all right, whatever, and then that was able to free me up. So closing was a really cool feeling because, you want to keep the energy up. I knew that our class teacher was also going to come in and do his bit. So I wanted to get people laughing. And luckily my scene's just like a lot of act outs. And I think a lot of people liked it. So it was really fun at the end. And if I could do it all over again, I think I would try to like hype myself up more next time.
Well, I mean, you were hilarious to watch, and your act outs are stellar. And it's interesting to me that you, who are an actor, you didn't call it a set, you called it a scene just now. So I was like, aha, the acting is coming through. The acting experience is definitely coming through. And because of that, I think your act outs are even more on point because you've got all that training. So within all of this that you are now performing and doing all this work, what role do you envision stand-up is going to have moving forward?
I think I'm really curious to do more open mics. The feedback I've been getting it has been people have enjoyed it and that they want to see more. So, and I come away wanting to do more. And I think we are really blessed with a class that is so ambitious to move on and move forward. So I would love to just continue to do open mics. I think I'll get more comfortable in this particular environment because even though I'm an actor, I'm used to being on stage. It's a different animal. It really is. And it's a different type of memorization. You're improvising also within the set, and you're playing with the crowd, and you can get off track sometimes a little bit, but then you can just bring it back. So I think it's a different muscle in your brain that you have to work. So I'm really curious to develop that and get and make it stronger and make people laugh because I'm having a great time.
And I think that's the whole point of this whole evening for all of us is that some of us walked in not really knowing if we could make people laugh with the things that were coming out of our mouths because Chris, our instructor, said everything had to be autobiographical. And so you're like, is what I have to talk about going to be funny? And then what was interesting is pulling out what is funny out of the stories that we have to tell. So do you look at yourself like a storyteller when you're up there? Is that part of what's going on for you, or are you more an actor?
I would say that I approach the whole set with an actor's mindset, knowing that there is a beginning, middle, and end, and there's a certain amount of energy that you need to give to each set. But I think at the end of the day, like, I'm just really trying to tell a funny story. I love storytelling. I when I'm developing my material, I'm like, how would I say this to my friends? How would I develop this more through just a conversation? So I think the professional business mind definitely plays a part, but when it comes to the creative set, it's more about just funny storytelling. And I was surprised. Some stuff got more laughs than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting some things to be really funny, but they were. So I guess it's just kind of like to each their own. Every crowd is different, like Chris, our teacher, was saying, and you just kind of got to feel it out as you do it.
Not only, I think, do you have to feel it out, but you also end up having to recognize that, like you said, every crowd is different. Every crowd's going to give you different feedback. And that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is I'm going to try and figure out a place and a time to start up a writer's room. And I'm hoping you'll be a part of it because you give great feedback and you're so talented. So that kind of support, not only comedy-wise, but also I think the friendships that we've made, what I'm really hoping is that we will all continue to support each other. And as I said to Brittany a minute ago, to be there to laugh with and maybe sometimes at each other when we're on stage. I want to thank you so much for being on the show and for giving me permission to use a little bit of your set. I have to say, you're going to want to see Miranda's video because her act outs are so hilarious. So the stuff that you're going to hear is going to be super funny, but also if you put it up on YouTube, I want the link, Miranda, because the act outs were so hilarious that you want to, in addition to hearing it, you're going to want to see it. So this is my way of saying that you're going to need to go see Miranda Rodan live, okay? So when she's not just if you want to watch her Netflix special when it inevitably comes out, that's totally cool. But also, if she's touring or whatever, you need to come see her because she was hilarious. So thank you, Miranda. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I appreciate you. Thank you for organizing all of this.
Oh, this has been my pleasure. I love hearing that. Thank you. All righty. So I want to let you know that right after this, you're going to hear a little tiny bit of Miranda's set. I'm super excited to play that for you. And also, I'm going to give you probably a little bit later a couple of minutes with Chris Griggs. And on top of that, I want to think a little bit about my own thoughts talk a little bit about my own thoughts with the idea being, do you think you're funny? And if you do, what's keeping you from trying it yourself? Because this has been one of those transformative experiences that has let people who didn't think they could just stand up and kill. And that is magic as far as I'm concerned. That's why I so believe in the power of creativity. But I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. In the meantime, I'm super excited to share more with you. And I will be bringing Chris Griggs probably in the next little bit. And in the meantime, enjoy a little bit of the amazing Miranda Rodan.
So I'm actually mixed. My mother is Puerto Rican. No Puerto Rican. Okay, quiet. Okay. And so my father is German. Yeah. And growing up, we didn't sprechen a whole lot of Espanol. But I always wanted to be on a Spanish soap opera. And even though I might look the part, I don't think I could actually have a lot of lines on these shows. But I could definitely do one thing. I could definitely cry in Spanish. ¿Por qué? Gracias. You tolerate a lot for the people you love. My boyfriend's mom is really religious. Like, she's on a whole nother pulpit. And one day, she rolls up to the condo unannounced and whips out her industrial-sized bottle of holy water straight from Israel. And a black light. And she heads straight to the bedroom. And I'm chasing after her because we did a lot of unholy things in that bedroom. And she just starts spraying and praying. And spraying and praying. And now I'm getting hit in the face. And this shit kind of burns. And all I can say is, ¿Por qué?
That was Miranda Roldan. I'm very excited that you got to hear some of the stand-up as well as people's thoughts on confidence and public speaking and figuring out just the right way to communicate. So that's all pretty exciting for me. I'm very happy that I was able to do this series for you. And it's not over yet. In fact, what I'm doing with this series now is I've split this last episode, the sort of wrap up, into 2 episodes because there were lots of people to talk to and I wanted to get the last couple of people in addition to perhaps me a little, next week. And the bonus is that not only will I have Kyriaki Xenakis and Tom Fickle and Molly Bassard on the show next week, but I will also have our instructor, comedian and TV Land star Chris Griggs. He is going to be on the show next week. He's going to be talking about his thoughts as a teacher, his thoughts on our class's progress, and also, well, comedy. So I hope that you join me next week as well. And if you're liking what you hear, if you're interested in getting more into the idea of communication and comedy and performing and having that creative mindset and including that kind of mindset in your daily life, I'd love to hear from you about what you're thinking about. And also, if you're liking the show, please consider leaving a review. It would mean the world to me to hear your thoughts. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg. I'm sending you all of my love. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and please tell your friends about the community we're building here. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright Isolde Trachtenberg 2019. Today's music was from Kevin MacLeod, Laser Groove, and Ave Marimba, brought to you by Creative Commons License 3.0. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, I send you all of my love.